The movie opens with a captivating beach landscape in Haiti, where photographer Victor Fielding captures moments on film during a vacation with his pregnant wife, Seren. Intrigued by local traditions, Seren meets with a voodoo priestess, seeking blessings for their unborn child. However, the serene atmosphere shatters as the city is rocked by a devastating earthquake. In the chaos, Seren becomes trapped beneath the rubble, critically injured. Victor, frantic, finds her just in time. With every ounce of strength, Seren urges Victor to protect their unborn child before she slips into unconsciousness. At the hospital, faced with an impossible choice, doctors inform Victor that attempts to save Seren might endanger the baby. Victor finds himself in a heartbreaking dilemma, forced to make the agonizing decision of whom to save. 13 years later, Victor resides in Georgia with his daughter Angela, their home adorned with photographs of her late mother. One morning, on the way to school, he gently scolds Angela for wearing a scarf that once belonged to her mother, a tangible relic of the past. Angela, accompanied by her friend Katherine, heads to school. In class, they plan an adventure into the woods with a classmate, Deshanna, although it ultimately becomes an outing solely for Angela and Katherine. While Angela explores her teenage world, Victor is engrossed in his job, capturing moments for a family through his camera lens. Yet, his reality begins to warp. Strange images haunt him. A weeping child and family portraits, distorting mysteriously on his laptop screen. Unsettling events start to unfold, blurring the line between the real and the supernatural. Panicked and desperate, Victor calls Katherine's home, hoping to find Angela, only to discover that the girls were supposed to be at Deshanna's house. Frantically, he contacts Deshanna's mother, learning that the girls had planned a trip into the woods. Filled with dread, Victor joins forces with Miranda and Tony, Katherine's father and mother. Together, they brave the dense forest, stumbling upon a chilling discovery. The girls' abandoned backpacks and Angela's shoes submerged in water. The ominous signs intensify their fear. With no time to spare, they contact the authorities, launching a frantic search for the missing girls. Amidst the chaos, a glimmer of hope emerges when a young man and his father discover Angela and Katherine hiding in their barn cellar. The girls are rescued, but their condition is deeply troubling. Their feet are raw and blistered, their skin marked with scratches, and their behavior strangely disoriented. The inexplicable events in the woods have left them traumatized and in urgent need of medical attention. Back at home, Angela reveals a haunting truth to Victor. She discloses that she and Katherine had ventured into the woods to play a game, attempting to contact Seren's spirit. This dangerous endeavor led to their falling into a hole and getting lost. As time goes on, Angela's behavior takes a dark turn. She starts conversing with an unseen presence, manipulating the lights, and unsettling Victor. Filled with alarm and bewilderment, Victor rushes to prepare a bath for Angela, but his actions only intensify the sense of foreboding. As the water darkens ominously, Angela's behavior becomes increasingly erratic, and it becomes apparent that she has caused harm to herself, having torn off a toenail. Fearing for her well-being, Victor searches for her, only for Angela to make a disturbing attempt to harm her father. Realizing the severity of Angela's condition, Victor rushes her back to the hospital. Meanwhile, Miranda and Tony return to their Baptist church with Katherine and her younger siblings. Although the congregation gives thanks to God for Katherine's safe return, she appears haggard and worn. In a chilling and unexpected turn, Katherine walks out, only to return during the communion service, her presence drenched in blood. She begins to repeatedly shout, "The body and the blood," causing distress among the congregation, and her parents must intervene to subdue her. Miranda and Tony decide to keep Katherine bedridden at home, desperate to comprehend the unexplained horrors that have gripped their daughter's life. In Angela's room, the nurse Anne unexpectedly becomes a confidante for the troubled girl. Angela begins to speak, delving into her past and revealing hidden secrets, mentioning the name of a child in a moment of unsettling confession. At Victor's home, Anne reveals a deeply buried secret from her past, confessing that she had once embarked on the path to becoming a nun. However, an unwed pregnancy had led to a heartbreaking decision, an abortion, an agonizing experience she had kept hidden from the world, until Angela seemed to have knowledge of it. Anne hands Victor a book authored by Chris MacNeil, sharing her own experiences after her daughter fell victim to possession. The shared revelation creates a somber connection between Anne and Victor, as they both grapple with the chilling implications of Angela's inexplicable suffering. Victor immerses himself in Chris's account, watching interviews and studying her research. Consumed by the need for answers, he seeks out Chris personally. He finds her living in solitude, having been abandoned by her daughter. Victor shares his own harrowing experiences, sparking a connection between two souls united by the supernatural. Chris, having spent years studying various methods of exorcism, becomes Victor's beacon of knowledge in his desperate search for salvation. As the situation grows increasingly dire, Victor brings Chris to the hospital to confront the malevolent force possessing Angela. Chris, recognizing the haunting signs, believes that the same demon Pazuzu, which once tormented her daughter, now possesses Angela. The possessed Angela cruelly taunts Chris, claiming that her daughter is waiting for her in hell. Their pursuit of the truth leads them to Katherine's home, where Chris confronts the possessed girl, encountering the same malicious taunts about her daughter. In a brave attempt to expel the demon, Chris draws close, only for the possessed Katherine to violently retaliate. Katherine seizes a cross and brutally gouges out Chris's eyes, leaving her blinded and in agonizing pain. Victor, devastated and remorseful, apologizes for the tragedy, but Chris remains resolute, displaying no regret for her attempt to help out. In the aftermath of Chris's hospitalization, Anne reaches out to Father Maddox, seeking his assistance. Father Maddox, in turn, attempts to gain approval from the Catholic Church for an exorcism. Simultaneously, Katherine's desperate parents turn to their friend and pastor, Don Revans, for help. Victor embarks on his own quest for aid. He visits Serene's grave where he encounters Dr. Behybe, a practitioner of hoodoo. Driven by desperation, Victor enlists her help, along with Stuart, a Pentecostal preacher. However, their attempts are met with a devastating blow when Father Maddox learns that the church has denied approval for the exorcism due to the grave risks involved, leaving them all trapped in a nightmarish battle against the forces of evil. In a desperate attempt to rid their daughters of the malevolent forces, Victor, Miranda, and Tony gather a group of trusted individuals. They bring Angela and Katherine together in the same house, binding them to chairs nailed to the floor, encircling them with a protective ring. The parents, determined to save their daughters, initiate a ritual to exorcise the demonic entities haunting them. In the midst of the intense ritual, the malevolent demon Lamashtu emerges through Angela, revealing a heartbreaking truth that has tormented her. Victor had chosen to save Serene over Angela, a decision that had left a deep scar on his daughter's soul. Demon, reveling in the chaos and despair, cruelly declares that only one girl will be spared, thrusting the parents into an unimaginable dilemma, forcing them to make the impossible choice of deciding which of their daughters will live and which will face a tragic fate. The room is filled with a heavy, suffocating tension as the parents grapple with the weight of this horrific decision, their hearts torn between love for their children and the demonic forces that threaten to consume them all. In a moment of defiance, Father Maddox returns, having abandoned the church's caution, and he begins his own exorcism. The demonic presence responds with a horrifying display of power, causing the girls to react violently to the intense prayer. Shockingly, the supernatural wrath extends its reach to Father Maddox. In a horrifying moment, the malevolent force seizes control, contorting his head in a grotesque testament to the sheer malevolence they are facing. With a final valiant effort, Father Maddox collapses, lifeless, sacrificing himself in the desperate battle against the overwhelming and malevolent entity. In a final, desperate bid to save his daughter Angela, Victor reaches out, expressing deep regret for his past choices, even using Serene's scarf to invoke Angela's true essence. The tension reaches its breaking point when Tony, overcome with fear and desperation, chooses to save Katherine. In a horrifying culmination, Angela's body is seized by the malevolent force, causing her to levitate and spew acidic bile into the ceiling before collapsing, her heartbeat fading away. Victor, shattered, cradles his lifeless daughter, weeping uncontrollably. In a surreal twist, Katherine briefly appears to revive before her head slumps lifelessly. Lamashtu, the demonic entity, claims Katherine's spirit, dragging her into the depths of hell, a chilling consequence of the chosen one's fate. As Angela awakens in the real world, Miranda and Tony are left devastated, mourning over Katherine's lifeless body. The room is filled with an unbearable silence, haunted by the echoes of their unimaginable loss. In the aftermath of the harrowing events, Angela gradually finds her way back to a semblance of normalcy, fostering a stronger bond with her father Victor. Meanwhile, Miranda and Tony are left to mourn the loss of their beloved daughter, Katherine, their grief hanging heavy in the air. Victor, seeking solace, visits Seren's grave once more, carrying the weight of his past decisions, and the scars left by their haunting consequences. Simultaneously, Anne, the nurse who had played an unexpected role in the ordeal, bravely gives a statement to the police, reaffirming her shaken faith in the face of inexplicable darkness. In a profoundly emotional moment, Chris, now residing in the hospital, experiences an unexpected visitor. Her daughter, who had been lost to the forces of possession long ago, returns to reunite with her mother. Their reunion, though bittersweet, carries a glimmer of hope and closure, a beacon illuminating the enduring power of love, even in the face of unimaginable horrors. I hope you enjoyed the movie recap. If you found it entertaining, consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing for more content.